and we will be posting them a little bit later. Is ATE just for bio or other technologies too? Oh, lots and lots of technologies. In fact, the Advanced Technological Education Program provides funding for education at two-year colleges for all kinds of fields that are part of developing the nation's economy.
It's mainly for high technologies. We're considered computing, software development, electronics, nanotechnology, even though it also has funded welding, because welding eventually became considered a higher technology, and even guitar making at one point.
And logistics and advanced manufacturing and three-dimensional printing and a lot of things you'd be interested in, John, and even probably some blockchain and computer science and
I said that.
Cybersecurity is a big ATE thing as well.
Supply chain.
Yeah, supply chain. Okay, anyway, we are recording the talks. I wanted to show you the schedule for the talks. You can find the schedule at our website, innovatebio.org. If you scroll down to the events, it's going to show up right on the first page. And for each of the talks, I am, as time goes on, posting an abstracts for the talks and a little bit more information. So you can see this is this week's. Next week, we have, we're going to be talking about biotechnology at the Wistar Institute, and I'm going to talk about the results from the first ever antibody engineering hackathon. After that, we're going to hear about CRISPR and about high school to biotechnology workforce pathways. And anyway, and you can find this here. All right, back to the kickoff information here. So you know where to find this. Next week, we have talks on Wistar Institute and our hackathon. I will be sending out more information about that a little bit later. The format for these talks is we're going to have, each talk will be about 20 minutes, and we'll have time for a discussion and evaluation at the end. But since that's not always enough time, we are going to have the option to talk about Slack, to talk on Slack too. I'll come back to that in just a minute. Our goals for the series are first to showcase the wonderful ATE projects that are that have projects related to biotechnology, and give the ATE teams the opportunity to disseminate their work and share it with you. The other thing we want to do is to help the biotechnology education community learn what's involved in an advanced technological education grant and the kinds of things that the National Science Foundation funds, and to help you learn how to find mentoring and help with writing those grants, because we think there's a lot more room for a lot more people to be funded, and we can do a lot more with educating students if we all work together on this. Okay, so Slack. I have sent out invitations for Slack, but I've learned that Slack actually, invitations do have an expiration date, and the ones I sent I think are good for 10 more days, but if you miss that, you can always get in touch and get a new one. I will be sending out new ones. What does Slack look like and how do you use it? I want to quickly show you our Innovate Bio Slack channel. And if you log into Slack, you'll see some channels on the side. Some are starred, but you don't always see all the channels. So there is this thing that says more. If you click more, you will see a channel browser show up. The channel browser shows you all the channels, and you can see here it says ATE Project Talks, and you just have to click join, and you will be part of that channel. What does that mean? Well, it means that you could go to that channel and you could post something. Okay. And then other people would see this highlighted and they would know that there was a message in that channel. All right, so we're going to be continuing the talks for over the weekend, kind of with each talk. This is a new experiment for us and we're just kind of getting used to this, but we think it's kind of a nice informal way to do this. Sort of like a group chat with your biotech education family. maybe not as contentious as your family group chats, I don't know. But anyway, kind of like a family group chat. All right, so that's Slack. You can feel free to email me if you have any questions about that or you want me to walk you through some of that. And now I am really happy to introduce our speakers for today, Tamara Mandell and Dr. Bridgette Kirkpatrick. Tammy, take it away.
Well, hello, everybody. I actually think Bridgette is going to start us off today. She's getting her screen up, so I will just start by saying thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, and really glad that you're able to attend today.
Good afternoon, good morning. I know that we're both, it's both for a lot of different people. So thank you guys for joining us. I'm happy to be here with Tammy. I'm going to give an introduction to our grant, and then Tammy is going to tell you some details, more details about the BACE. Uh-oh, I can't move. Oh, there we go. So for several years, we've been talking about how do we articulate between our programs and what's important for students and employers. And one of the answers to those questions that has come up over and over is, what about a credential that is common to different programs and covers common skills? So why I have chosen to be part of this grant and support the BACE is that it's industry recognized and supported, it's industry aligned, and they are the ones who work to develop it. And it allows a transferable credential from different institutions and employers to recognize what kind of skills students have in that workplace. This project, the industry recognized credentialing system, is we want to provide a validated talent pool for industry, and we want to provide candidates with a mechanism to showcase their skills. Our leadership is myself from Collin College in Plano, Texas, Tammy Mandell from Biotechnician and University of Florida, and Phil, who could not be with us today, from the Center of Global Health and Innovation. Phil is the PI and Tammy and I are co-PIs. This is a three-year grant, and our target states are Georgia, California, Texas, Washington, and Nebraska. So our first goal for this grant is to create a task force from each of those 5 states. And on those task force, we have a coordinator that will facilitate communication between and advocacy of the BACE with industry representatives. We have educators and CTE directors, and also looking at policymakers at the boards of education or higher education. We're also have developed test sites for each state, 2 to 4 test sites, training the staff for those test sites. And then our goal is to have 15 candidates per site first year and 30 per site the next couple of years. We intend to follow those credential earners to learn where they go to work. And we are also having our industry advisory board members are also inviting them to sit for the BACE so they can give us feedback on the exam itself and learn more about the rigor and the what knowledge and skills are asked for on that exam. The third goal of our grant is to provide professional development for teachers and in high schools and community colleges. This is not to encourage them to teach to the test, but it gives them an industry perspective of what industry is looking for as far as the skills that are needed in the workplace, and how to incorporate those into their curriculum. And then the last goal is to communicate BACE to community like biotech community like Innovate Bio and the CAMPT. I can't remember what that acronym stands for, cell therapy, and to let people know that there's a validated talent pool, what is on the skills that are looked for on the BACE. We all tend to teach the same basic skills, but we teach them in different ways. And so this is a means of validating those skill masteries for different students. And with that, I am going to pass this off to Tammy.
Thank you, Bridget. So just a quick big picture overview of the BACE. So it initiated or started in Florida, and then over the years it spread throughout the country, mainly because, increased recognition of the value of industry recognized credentials, the industry beginning to appreciate the value of these credentials, and then of course, national initiatives, to really garner the forward movement of them. So if you look at that, the nation to the left, that kind of gross lighter colored mustard color, are states that have adopted the BACE formally. The darker brown mustardy color are states that are using the exam. And then the 5 in red, of course, are the ones that are involved with this NSF ATE grant. Not necessarily, that doesn't mean that they haven't used it in the past. So we have about a little over 100 testing sites throughout the country, and about 2,600 candidates sat for the exam in 2020. Of course, there was a decrease in that number last year due to the pandemic, but we are hopeful and seeing a trend to that coming back up and going beyond. What's exciting is that these candidates, people that have earned the credential, are being hired into a variety of different positions in the industry, ranging from quality, research, process control, manufacturing floor. You can see the list down below there. And what's exciting too is just the diversity of the organizations that they're being hired into. And of course, this is what I've always loved about biotechnology, is that it opens the doors to so many pathways for careers, as well as the different sectors and applications of that knowledge and skill set. And then what I also love is biotechcareers.org website, because you can actually go onto that site and search for credential earners and see where they've been hired. And so that's another great resource. So next slide, please, Bridgette. There we go. So just as Bridgette mentioned, the BACE is reviewed annually by our National Advisory Board. You can go ahead and flip to the next slide. And they really set the standard. So they identify the percent distribution of the different topics of the exam, as well as the rigor of the exam. Candidates need to score an 80% to pass the exam. So it is a rigorous exam. And as you can see, then the distribution of the topics. So it's rather heavy on the practical exam side with the biotech skills, as well as just an understanding of the application of those skills in the knowledge exam. Another piece that they place high value on is in the applied mathematics, right? Calculating molarity, understanding how to make buffers, different dilutions, serial dilutions, standard dilutions, et cetera. And I'll just make note right now that that's where we really see candidates struggling on the exam. Next slide, please. So to help with this, we do have a variety of resources. So this presentation was not intended to do a deep dive into the administration of the exam or anything of that nature, but we do offer regular sessions that we call BACE Basics. And for anybody who is interested, the next one is scheduled for February 24th, 3:30 to 5 Eastern Standard Time. I can probably copy paste, or I'll put it into the Slack. Or Slacker, whatever we're calling it, the registration link for that. But in that, if you're interested in more detail, feel free to attend, and that'll go over how to administer the exam and kind of the nuts and bolts and more about the exam itself. But for any registered test site, we do have free practice exams. There are 2 of those, as well as additional practice for those mathematical concepts. We also have candidate learning tools so that they can take a deeper dive into some of the topics that are covered in the exam. Biotech career readiness modules, which also includes the biotechcareers.org website, so that students can learn more about these career paths and where they might go. And then also we provide feedback. So you can get feedback from the practice exams to see how students are performing and where you might need to supplement your curricula. And then also students that take the exam, each test site then gets a report on a complete analysis of how their students performed, not only on individual topics, but also with a national comparison. So next slide, please, Bridgette. Another quick resource, I have no financial ties. However, I am excited that Biorad aligned the 2nd edition of their textbook with the Biotechnician Assistant Credentialing exam. So it's a great resource, if nothing else, just to kind of go through and get a feel for some of the topics as well. Next slide, please. This is just more about the professional development opportunity Bridgette was referring to earlier, the industrial biotech teacher experience. This year, we've revamped it to be somewhat of a flipped classroom style. And so the first 4 modules are going to be content that we provide virtually live to instructors, and people come from all over the country. And then they come to our site for 1 week for kind of that in-depth industry experience application of these concepts. And so it used to be 2 weeks at our site, and now it's 1 week. And so people can choose either of the 2 weeks to attend to do that portion of the professional development. And next slide, please. And that's a big thank you. I know we went through this quickly, but we wanted to make sure that we stay within time. But if you have any questions, either about the grant itself and the mechanics or becoming involved with that, Phil Gibson is the PI, but you're welcome to contact any of us. And if you want more information about the BACE or our professional development opportunities, Lisa is our credentialing specialist. Huda also works with us on that front. And of course, you're welcome to contact me. So thank you very much. And we will look forward to questions.
Hey, thanks, Tammy. We're going to hold the questions until the end of my talk. So we'll get to that later, but thank you. That's great. So I'm going to now share the screen and we'll talk about biotech careers.